Welcome to the Economic Development Council's Vision of Progress. I'm your host, Nathan Sparks, and today we're talking with Alicia Bookout, District Director of Troy University. Alicia, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you with us today. And you know, Troy University has a very proud heritage, a very proud history. And I'd like to start with just talking a little bit about that history, if we could.
Absolutely. We are a university that started in 1887.
Right.
We started as a teacher's school in Alabama, and in the 1950s we branched into military installations in Alabama,
Right.
which then launched our campuses in Montgomery and Dothan.
Right.
Then we also have a branch campus in Phoenix City. In the 1970s we got into the state of Florida for our military installations, which segued into our global campus, of which I am a part of. We now have sites in 8 states as a part of Global Campus, and that involves military installations as well as standalone sites.
Right. Wonderful. And your role with Troy is District Director. You all have 7 sites in Florida, is that right?
We do, and we have also a site in San Antonio, Texas.
And you have responsibility for all of those?
Yes, I do.
Wow. So you must spend a lot of time on the road.
I have this year, yes.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic.
Yes.
So I noticed, one thing that I noticed is that in the Panhandle you have several sites.
We do.
Okay.
We're sort of on top of each other, but it's nice because we are very consistent in what we do across the Panhandle.
Right.
We range from Pensacola to Panama City. We also have locations Fort Walton Beach, Eglin Air Force Base, and Tyndall Air Force Base.
Right. Fantastic. Now, this is a unique model, this Troy University model, and I grew up in Alabama, by the way, so I was familiar with Troy as a very young person. But the model itself of taking a former state university and looking at an aggressive multi-site expansion, how did that all come about?
We wanted to take education to the military,
Right.
and to provide an opportunity for them to learn
Right.
at their location, which was at the military installations at the time.
Right.
Then in the 90s, distance learning was sort of something that Troy launched and was on the cutting edge of. So we now have eTroy, which is our online program.
Right.
We now sort of do a blended opportunity for our non-traditional students, which is we're creating programs that will allow them to take a handful of classes in the classroom, then learn to segue into online, which gives them the flexibility of taking the program with them wherever they may go.
Fantastic, fantastic. You know, I remember Troy for 2 things growing up. Obviously, championship football
Yes.
is one of those. But I also remember Troy being touted as as Alabama's international university.
Absolutely, yes.
And I know that's something that you all are very proud of.
We are.
And this global vision has really, over the past, I guess, 20 years or so, really taken root. And you all have sites, as you mentioned, overseas.
We do.
But you also are heavily focused on attracting foreign students.
Yes, we are. We
Okay.
have 4 sites at military installations in the Pacific region. We also have Vietnam and Saudi Arabia right now.
Right.
But we have one initiative in particular that Dr. Hawkins is very proud of, is the one-to-one initiative with our Chinese affiliates. Students who attend certain Chinese universities, attend there for a year, come back to Troy for 2 years, then go back to China and finish their work there and get a degree from both Troy and their partner university there.
Fantastic.
So that's something we're very proud of, as well as our Confucius Institute, which we have, the only one in the state of Alabama.
You know, that's tremendous. I was involved in my prior community in Georgia in setting up a sister city program with China, and that was something that some of our institutions were looking at, the Confucius Institute designation,
Yes.
and it's quite an honor to achieve that.
Absolutely.
Why don't you share with our viewers a little bit about what that entails?
I'm not sure I can speak to it
Yeah.
very well, but I can say that it is an extreme honor. We bring scholars over from China.
Right.
Our director there is very involved. I know that we do offer Mandarin Chinese on campus.
Right.
We're very engaged with the communities around Troy who maybe also have the Korean or Chinese languages, that we try to involve them
Right.
to help provide that experience with our students that are there in Alabama
Right.
for this global business that they may need in the world today.
Well, that's fantastic. Obviously, in the world of economic development, so much of our activity now is international based, and so much of our outreach is to companies that are located in foreign countries. And so when we can speak to international connectivity and programming like what you all are doing at Troy, it gives them the assurance that we have the ability to accommodate their students and that we have a sincere interest in their culture, and that alone is worth a lot. So kudos to you all for doing that. I know there's some challenges in accommodating foreign students.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about some of those challenges, things that you all have to be mindful of and aware of as you work to accommodate foreign students.
Our international programs division does a really good job in trying to assist those students in transitioning to an American way of life,
Right.
whether it's coming over here and learning how to drive on the right side of the road, or adapting to even English speaking. Some of them are not speaking English as well as they were.
Right.
So we do try to integrate them into our classes, into the American way of life, so that they are comfortable and familiar with how to interact with their students, their peer students. They do live in an international dorm, but they also are engaging with their peers on a daily basis.
Right.
We do try to take them to Montgomery to shop, so that they have that experience and aren't just limited to Troy, Alabama.
Right. So it's interesting, in addition to your traditional students who are can be at any campus, but primarily I presume the bulk of those are in Troy, Alabama,
Correct.
at the main campus. In addition to your traditional students that most everyone thinks of when they think of college students, you have two other cohorts of students that are really distinctive. You've got your international students that we've just talked about,
Yes.
and you've got your military, which we touched on briefly.
Correct.
And so the expansion, the global expansion, initially multi-state expansion, now global expansion, you mentioned was tied to serving military learners.
Yes.
Obviously, we're very proud of our military heritage here in
Yes.
Okaloosa County, and first and foremost, thank you for what you do to serve the military learners in our community. Can you talk to us a little bit about the military learner as a student, and some of the opportunities that you offer? Obviously, these are people that are mobile.
Right.
They'll be with us for a period of time and they'll move on. But Troy is prepared to accommodate that.
Absolutely. We are very proud of our relationship that we've always had with the military. We strive to serve them as best we can. And part of that is by having locations, our sites on our military bases. But that's not limited to those locations. Our sites across the states serve our military service members. We have a Troy for Troops Center that's based in Troy, Alabama, but supports our service member students in any way that they need. We have a person identified for them that tries to support their unique circumstances that they may encounter as a student for the first time. They may be unfamiliar with financial aid or their TA that they're having to deal with. Just anything that's unique to them that they may encounter with a faculty member, they can always turn to this particular center and their director and get some guidance from that person. In addition, our student services are always available to the military members so that they feel supported by them. Our staff encourage them to reach out and come in and talk to them. We try to always be military focused in everything we do.
Right. And that includes, I would presume, not just the military personnel themselves, but their spouses.
And their dependents.
Right.
We try to support all of the family
Yeah.
in what we do. And really that's part of why the online learning has been so successful for Troy, because if they find that they get deployed or they end up moving a location, they can take their education with them wherever they go.
Right. Well, e-learning, it seems, is the future of education. It appears that virtually every institution has some form of e-learning program. Some, like you all, do it very well. Some are just embarking down that path. And some universities are completely online these days.
That's true.
Everybody's familiar with the University of Phoenix. So talk to me about how e-learning has changed education, if you could.
It seems like everyone is in the game nowadays.
Right.
I will say Troy was one of the first, if not the first, to embark on this endeavor, and we did so to put the students at the forefront. We really want to make sure it's education at its finest before we do it. Our faculty who are teaching these classes are the same faculty who are in the classroom at Troy. They're not going to just be an average person. It's our doctoral instructors, faculty members who are teaching these online courses. We want to ensure that they get the quality education online that they're going to get in a classroom, the same experience that they're going to get in the classroom. Not everyone's comfortable going online, and we understand that.
Right. So
we try to offer them the options that they are comfortable achieving and the delivery method that they want to take the classes. That's not for everyone, and we understand that.
Right. Now, is your entire catalog online at this point? Are there certain programs that are more online focused than others?
At this point, not all programs are available online because not all of them should necessarily be online.
True.
For example, our Counseling and Psychology Master's program is 100% in the classroom at all locations in the state of Florida. It is one that's very unique, very hands-on, particularly because it's a clinical mental health degree. You kind of want that face-to-face interaction with your faculty and your students.
Right.
So it may not be, while certain of the classes can be taken online with that program, it probably will not be 100% online.
And that's probably comforting to those who will use those services one day. Absolutely. No substitute for actually hands-on experience.
That's right.
Absolutely. So you mentioned your master's in counseling. I know that's a program that you all are very proud of.
Very proud of. It's, yes, KCREP accredited at all locations in the state of Florida. We have it at Fort Walton Beach, Pensacola, and Panama City, and we're very proud of it, and we hope to encourage more students to join us for that.
How long has that program been around? We
have had that program close to 10 years at our location, so it's very successful. We have approximately 50 students across each site, so it continues to grow, and we hope to keep it growing.
Wonderful. Wonderful. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll come back and continue our conversation.
Very good.
Excellent. We've been talking with Alicia Bookout, District Director of Troy University. We'll be right back.
When 10,000 students need to be online at the same time, Cox Business is there.
When the big game relies on an even bigger communications network, we're there.
And when students need the same tools and opportunities no matter where they are, we're there.
With a $16 billion network and ability to route 50 million calls a day, Cox Business powers education. We're there for your business, too.
Get up close and personal with some of the biggest vehicles on the road at the Junior League of the Emerald Coast Touch a Truck from 10 to 2 on Saturday, April 11th at the Boardwalk on Okaloosa Island. Kids will be able to see bucket trucks, garbage trucks, SWAT vehicles, fire trucks, tractors, and so much more. Admission is free to everyone. For more information on the event or on the Junior League, log on to their website, jlec.org today.
Welcome back to the Economic Development Council's Vision of Progress. I'm your host, Nathan Sparks, and today we're talking with Alicia Bookout, District Director of Troy University. Alicia, welcome back.
Thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. In our first segment, we covered a lot of ground, talked about the history of Troy, very proud heritage. We talked about your e-learning, your focus on international expansion, international students, military learners. So we covered a lot of ground. What I'd like to do in this segment, I'd like to begin by talking about the Okaloosa County sites, of which there are 2.
Yes.
Correct? So let's talk about those. Where are they?
We have one on Eglin Air Force Base in the Education Center.
Okay.
That is open to anyone who has military access for the base. Our service members from Hurlburt or Eglin. Rob Morrison is the area coordinator there, and he can certainly help anyone with any interest in attending Troy.
Okay.
Also, dependents or spouses who have access can certainly go speak to Rob there.
Okay.
Our Fort Walton Beach location is at Bill Parkway. We have a lot of signage in the community that points you there. It's at 81 Bill Parkway.
Right.
We have several staff members there who can help people who are interested in talking about Troy. We also have a lot of faculty members who don't just teach in our in-class program of counseling and psychology, but we have faculty who teach criminal justice, the Masters in Public Administration, our social sciences, history. So if you have any interest in any of those programs, they are happy to speak to our prospects, people who may be interested. All you have to do is stop by or call, make an appointment, and our staff would be glad to set you up with those faculty members.
Wonderful, wonderful. So in terms of the site that's at Eglin, do veterans have an opportunity to access that site?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. In fact, veterans, we find they come to our Fort Walton Beach location more
Oh, really? Okay.
than Eglin.
That's interesting.
It is. They are very interested typically in our master's program because many of them attended through TA, an undergraduate. So, but yes, I mean, they're welcome at either one of our locations. We're happy to help serve them anywhere we can.
Wonderful. And you all have folks that are very knowledgeable as far as dealing with the GI Bill and things of that sort?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And in fact, if people have businesses and employees that they'd like to see a benefit, we were glad to come and speak to them about employee benefits for education and talking to their employees about getting their education.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So you mentioned your programs of study.
Yes.
So you have an associate's in education, general education.
Yes.
Okay. You have the psychology program
Eglin, correct.
at Eglin, and you have the master's in counseling that we covered in the prior segment.
Correct.
And then you have your e-learning,
Yes.
which is available to anyone, anywhere.
Absolutely.
That's the beauty of e-learning,
It
right?
is.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. Fantastic. So let's talk about those in terms of your experience, in terms of knowing the interest in the community. Is there a program that's the most popular at this point in time?
The most popular program, I would say, across Troy University is psychology, undergraduate.
Okay.
A lot of people who don't know what they want to do with their life, with a degree, adult learners, or those who are just out of high school, choose psychology. It's something that kind of can guide them in different directions.
Right.
So it's a sort of a comfortable degree to choose.
Sure.
So it's very popular. It is available online. However, you can take courses in our psychology program at the base. So you can get some in class while you can also get some online. So that's a nice program to get a little bit of everything.
Okay. Now, do you all, I know that experiential education, internships are a major component for some degree programs. Do you all have relationships with businesses that host students and things of that sort?
We do. We have hospitality, sport, and tourism management degree that is completely online.
Wow.
However, it does have an internship component. The convention center here is one who has expressed interest in doing an internship with us. A lot of our tourism, restaurants and businesses often interact with us. We've had one of our graduates actually worked at Eglin at the rec center there to do his internship. So it's interesting to see the community interaction with our programs.
Absolutely. Well, that hospitality degree is spot on, obviously, with a
Absolutely.
major driver of our local economy, and I would imagine that's a very popular program.
Yes, and we do have a faculty member at our site that teaches that program online. So if you're interested in talking to her, she goes to a lot of chamber events. She's very engaged in the community. She does a lot of research about tourism. So she's very dynamic and would love to speak to anyone who's interested.
Fantastic. So all of the Kiwanis clubs and Rotary clubs that are
Absolutely.
watching, there you go. What's her name, by the way?
Dr. Kate Price Howard.
Okay, fantastic.
Many of you may already know her. She's from this area.
Okay, wonderful. Well, that's fantastic. So in terms of the future growth here of the two sites, do you anticipate continued growth?
We are pretty well saturated in the Florida Panhandle.
Okay.
If we have any expanded growth, it would probably look towards the Mississippi, Louisiana Gulf Coast.
Okay.
That may be the direction we're sort of targeting at this moment.
Okay.
To see if we can expand any further.
So in terms of programming growth, though, there could be some growth in curriculum, perhaps?
Yes, we are investigating with the deans what might be of interest. More than likely, it will be some blended programs.
Okay.
Could possibly be the MPA, which is Public Administration, or
Right.
management in our Masters in Management programs.
I see.
There may be some on the horizon that may come that have some in-class and online options.
Fantastic. Just out of curiosity, how do you all go through, I'm sure it's a very extensive process of vetting particular programming. How do you all go through that process?
We talk, it's not always very scientific.
Right.
We sit down, talk about what resources we have allocated at the locations.
Right.
Given that we have a lot of faculty that have MPA at my location in particular, we can allocate them to the sites in our area
Sure.
fairly easily. It's a degree that we think would be of interest to the market in this area. That's sort of what we look at to
Okay.
begin with, and then based on that, we see if we can't start recruiting towards that.
Sure.
And if we can try to get sort of we don't like the word cohort any longer, but if we can get an interested group of individuals to commit to it, that sort of drives it.
Sure. It's ultimately a business case.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the bottom line.
Fantastic. Well, I would imagine, though, that again, back to the e-learning, you're able to be nimble in that regard. That
Yes.
being able to access all of that. Not every program, but a vast majority of the programs have that opportunity. And
It really, once an individual gets comfortable with that experience of taking a class online and learning to be disciplined doing it, it's the most comfortable and convenient way of getting a degree.
yeah, nothing like being able to accomplish a degree in your slippers and robe, right?
Absolutely, and at your own convenience.
Right,
In
right.
your time frame when it's available to you, not on someone else's schedule. And it's just getting over that hump of the unknown.
Right.
Can I do it? Am I able to do it? Really, that's what we're there for, is to advocate for you as someone who hasn't been back to school in so long.
Right, right. Let me ask you, Alicia, in terms of you're obviously active in the community, visible at various events. We run into each other
Yes.
regularly. So is there anything that the community can do to better partner with Troy? Is there anything that we can do to support you all in your efforts to be one of our educational partners in this community?
Just spread the word. We really feel like we just people don't know enough about us, I
Right.
think. Since we are an Alabama school, we sometimes feel like we're not always at the table.
Right.
And so our alums are our best referrals.
Right.
And that's what all we can ask for, is just that people continue to talk about us.
Well, I would imagine, you mentioned alums, I would imagine that in this market, in the Florida Panhandle, we have a significant alumni base.
We do. We have a very strong alumni chapter, not just in Fort Walton Beach, but across the Panhandle, and they do all that they can to spread the message.
Right.
And given that we're so close to Troy, Alabama, it does help. There is a lot of people who had a mother, had a grandmother, had a parent, who went to Troy, and for that we are very grateful.
Sure.
That certainly helps, but it's never enough.
Right. It's a ready-made group of advocates, though.
Yeah,
certainly.
absolutely.
Certainly,
Absolutely.
and-
And we just want more.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have a great opportunity to get folks up to football games and
That's right.
and continue to spread the word.
Yes,
Yeah,
we have a new football coach, so this is a good year for Troy.
absolutely. And you guys are playing the big boys now too.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Yeah.
And I will say that anyone who's in a high school who may be interested in going to Troy, we don't typically do the recruiting for Troy campus, but we are happy to speak with you and put you in touch with the people who do that recruiting. So don't hesitate to come by and speak to us.
Yeah.
We're glad to put you in touch with them.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, let me ask you, how can folks learn more? You mentioned that you're happy to put people in touch with those who are in admissions and whatnot.
Right.
But is there a way that somebody watching this program can learn more about the local sites and the offerings. Maybe they heard something today that planted a seed. Is there a place they can go online, or is there an office, I presume, that they can stop by and speak with
Absolutely.
someone? Okay.
You can go to www.troy.edu.
Right.
That has all the information. You can look at all of our academic programs, what's online, what's in the classroom, our site location information, or you can call our local number at 850-301-2100.
Okay, one more time.
850-301-2100.
Perfect. So we've got about 2 minutes left. What have we not covered today that you'd like to get out there?
Troy is, I've worked at a lot of institutions, and Troy is the most family-friendly place I've ever worked. It is, I have 2 children that go to Troy. It is a very welcoming, nurturing environment.
Right.
If you are uncomfortable, unsure about your education, Troy will nurture you and take you the next step. Mm-hmm. They really will make sure that you are successful with your education. And that is, to me, really the first hurdle in succeeding.
I agree. That support system is certainly something that folks value, and I hear that from Troy grads. So that's echoed in the community, and you all do an excellent job of that. Alicia, thank you for your time today. Thank you for being on our show. It's been a pleasure learning about Troy University, learning about your offerings here in the community. We certainly value what you all do in terms of preparing the workforce of tomorrow. That is a key factor in our efforts to recruit industry and grow existing industry here in our community. And we're very blessed in Okaloosa County, as you know, to have many options for individuals who wish to continue their education, and you all are certainly among the best. So we thank you for that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Folks, before we close, I'd like to just draw your attention to an upcoming event that the Economic Development Council will be hosting on March 31st. We are hosting our first Economic Development Roundtable of the year on March 31. That is a Tuesday at 7:30 in the morning. That will take place at the Ramada Plaza Resort on Okaloosa Island. And we're very excited about this. Given that this is the centennial of Okaloosa County, 2015 represents our community centennial, we want to share in that celebration. And so specifically what we're doing is hosting a panel focused on 100 years of economic prosperity in Okaloosa County. We've titled the event Fish Hooks, Ferris Wheels, and F-35s, A Century of Progress. And we'll have some very distinguished speakers with us that morning. Captain Kelly Wines, Commissioner Kelly Wines, will be talking about the growth of the fishing industry over that 100-year span. We'll have retired Lieutenant General Gordy Fornell from the Air Force talking about the military community. We'll have Tourism Development Director Ed Schrader talking about the growth of tourism and hospitality over that period of time. We've talked about that today with Alicia. And then last but certainly not least, we'll have Greg Britton, who is CEO of Fort Walton Machining and Vice Chairman of the EDC, as well as Chairman of the Northwest Florida Manufacturers Council, talking about the manufacturing community. So we encourage you to visit the EDC's website at florida-edc.org or to call us at 362-6467, and we'd be glad to get you registered. Thank you for watching today.